I was looking at these, and obviously we got some crazy stories tonight, man. But this guy that you sent me, actually, that Australian guy, I think we're going to do that one first, right?
Yep.
That like it just goes to show you, like, something is different in the world that can be a thing that you can get away with. I mean, dude was in the wind for how long? Like,
I mean,
broke around 1967. It looks like, yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean,
For pretty much his entire life.
yeah,
I mean, after he went to jail and got out,
yeah,
it's nuts.
yeah, that's crazy. And then, yeah, this other thing about the dude getting the mortgage in someone else's name, and I mean, people are just insane. And the thing is, they're clever enough that it works.
No,
Like, some of these things actually end up working, which is even crazier. So
I'm just not that smart. Apparently,
no.
both of these stories, like I couldn't pull this off if I was given 100 tries. I couldn't pull it off.
I wouldn't even think of it.
I don't even think I could get close.
Yeah. Well, why don't we jump into it? Well, people know what we're talking about. I'll go ahead and play us in, and then we can jump into these because we got some good ones here. So
I like it.
Let's get it rolling. And if this thing loads up properly, we're going to count it in.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
That's right. We're back. Welcome, everybody. You get the Horn Show. Tad and Jeff here. And, man, I don't even want to waste a lot of time. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Hey, good.
I'm all fired up, ready to launch into these stories. We got
ready to go.
We got some good stuff, man, and I don't want to keep the people waiting. So I think, and we're also live streaming tonight. So welcome to our audience on YouTube watching the live stream. So this episode will come out later, fully produced, but we're giving some people the ability to join us live as well. Feel free to give us a shout out, send your comments, questions, whatever the case may be, and we'll be happy to have you with us.
You get the deep cuts.
That's right. All right, man. Well, let's get to it, man. We got a ton to cover tonight. Some fascinating stories. I mean, this is everything from a dude who broke out of jail for killing his parents and then lived like 50 years with no issues to someone taking out a mortgage in their landlord's name, a renter taking out a mortgage in their landlord's name, and some of these, I don't want to call them conspiracies around this Bud Light controversy stuff, but some of these thoughts that people have shared with us in the comments around things like ESG scores and things like that on what fuels some of the decision making by these big brands. A lot of people think that stuff's crazy, not real, whatever the case may be. But some new things have come out that show that there may actually be some real validity to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And man, we've got a bizarre hack for people who like McFlurries. It's McFlurry season. We got a crazy hack for that. We got somebody who found cocaine in their hot dog. We got it's a real slice of life. It's a real slice of life that we have tonight. So, so why don't we jump into it and start off, man? You had this story. You found this. You sent it to me. I'm going to let you take it away because I just thought this is one of those insane stories that you just don't think can happen nowadays, but somehow they still do sometimes.
Yeah. And this is what happens when you give your DNA to any of these DNA companies. So an Australian family found out that their husband and their father was actually a murderer.
With Father's Day coming up,
might be a great time
to
might be a great time to invest in an ancestry.com kit or 23andMe, and that's make sure your father's not a deranged killer. So,
Yeah.
Some new DNA evidence revealed that a Nebraska teenager who shot his parents in the 50s, then escaped from prison, lived out his life in Australia as a successful businessman, devoted husband, and doting father. So this guy, Leslie Arnold, was 16 and killed his parents after a dispute over the use of the family car. He essentially wanted to take his then girlfriend out to the movies.
Sure.
Mom said no because she felt that the girlfriend was white trash.
What does
so
mom know?
so
I'll kill
Opal,
her.
yeah. So Opal Arnold, she said nope to let him take his girlfriend Crystal out in the family's new Mercury sedan to a drive-in movie, and he becomes enraged. So tensions had been simmering over his relationship with the girl who his mother called white trash. And he retrieves a rifle from his parents' room on September 27, 1958, and confronts his mom. Now, I'm assuming he had to tell this because otherwise I don't know. Obviously, the mother wasn't available for comment. But according to the article, her words were, "What are you going to do? Shoot me?" Well,
Classic mom.
classic mom. And he did. He answered with 6 pulls of the trigger. 6. Then his dad comes home with groceries tucked under his arm. The two struggle, and Arnold ends up eventually wrestling the gun away and shooting the dad and killing him. So they have a younger son, James, who's 13. He takes James over to the neighbors and pretty much says, hey, parents had to go on an emergency trip to help his grandparents out. Can you watch the kid? He then takes Crystal to the drive-in movie where they watch the horror flick The Undead.
Wow. Wow.
Now, he doesn't
Cold-blooded.
even... Cold-blooded. Now, he doesn't even go home and bury the parents right away. He does it the next night in a shallow grave, and the grandparents finally show up. And at that point, he confesses to their murders. So now he's, after he pleads guilty, he sends in a letter of apology to his neighbor and, saying, hey, my parents were great. I never knew how great they were. So he goes to jail. After serving 8 years behind bars, Arnold and his fellow inmate James Harding hatched a scheme to break out with the help of a recent parolee. Now, somehow he manages to toss them saw blades and rubber masks into the prison yard. Apparently, security was...
important to say, this was like in the 60s, so things are a little different now.
Sure, I would hope so. But, I mean, although now they're dropping drone stuff into the in the courtyards and stuff. But so they managed to saw off the bars of a window in the facility's music room. This guy is like an accomplished, I won't say accomplished because he was only 16 at the time, but he was a really good saxophonist. So he's in the music room. They saw off the bars of the window. Again, they then use chewing gum to hold the bars in place.
Again, it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart. If you think about it, like they didn't just like cut the bars and then be like, okay, let's go. They were like, we got to wait for the right time, but this will be here as long as my big league chew holds. This is these bars will be here and we can get out anytime we want.
What are they chewing in 1958? Beech nut? What are they chewing that's that
Bazooka
good?
Joe or
yeah,
I mean, is that what Bazooka gum?
Yeah.
Bazooka Joe was from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it was just Bazooka gum. I was gonna go along with it. Like, yeah, Bazooka Joe, definitely. Yeah, I think you're right.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Pack the punch.
Yeah.
So
So they have this now. They have the bars cut.
cut.
They have them held in with chewing gum.
Yeah. And don't forget
Now
they have
to just
rubber
wait.
masks. So they have rubber masks now that they attach to their pillows. Apparently, security could not be great, obviously, in the early mid late 60s. So on July 14th, 1967, the pair slipped through the window and scaled a 12-foot barbed wire fence. Doesn't really say how they scaled it. I don't know. And how they even scaled a fence. I don't know that I've ever scaled a fence before in my life.
Climb a fence, barbed wire at the top to get out of prison. I mean, I guess if that's the only thing holding you back, I mean, it's like Shawshank, right? I mean, you went through the sewer system. I mean, you'll get over barbed wire if that's the only thing stopping you.
Do what you got to do. They were halfway to Chicago, Tab, before they were discovered missing.
Wow.
From Nebraska to Chicago, they were halfway there before they were even discovered missing.
And it was because of the masks, right? Like, wasn't that the issue?
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean,
like they stuck them onto the pillows or something to where it looked like people, like they were sleeping.
I guess they were sleeping, and I guess they didn't wake them up and make them come out for, mandatory breakfast or whatever back then. So I'm assuming a lot of policies changed at this prison once this escape happened.
Yeah, things might have changed.
Now, this guy didn't immediately move to Australia. He settled in Chicago and married a woman with 4 daughters less than 6 months after he escaped. So
look, this is a good lesson. I want to take a pause here if we could. We have a lot of people that will be listening to this. We have a lot of people watching right now on the live stream on YouTube. We will have people listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever. There is someone for everyone. If you are having problems finding a significant other, having with relationship issues, stuff like that, this is a guy who murdered his parents, went to prison for a few years, broke out of prison, and in a short period of time, he meets a girl, settles down, gets married. Like, there's someone for everyone. So whatever your circumstances are, that guy, he didn't have a defeatist mentality. He didn't say like, no one's probably going to like me because of me murdering my parents and going to prison. No, he didn't worry about things like that. He put himself out there, and that's the most important thing. You got to put yourself
out there. That's it. Put yourself out there. Yeah. So he's now obtained phony identity papers, and he's now assuming the name of John Damon. I have watched, I'm going to guess, no less than 100 TV shows and or movies where people obtain new identities.
Yeah.
I could not tell you the first place to look to do that. I would have no clue. You'd be like, hey, I need to get a new identity. I don't know. I don't know. Because you know what? It never really shows in the movies how they really do it. They're just showing up and the guy just hands them some paper. Who are you calling for this?
Yeah.
Is this the dark web that I've got to go to? How do you get to the dark web? I don't even know how to get to the dark web.
So you're pre-stage 1 of how to do this.
Like I'm the old lady trying to log on to Google, you know? And then I don't know. We got Silk Road. I mean, how do you get to Silk Road? I don't know. I no idea. But apparently this guy, not a problem, gets his new identity. They end up moving from Cincinnati to Miami. Of course, he's staying out of the one place, so they're relocating a lot. Ends up getting divorced, cuts off all ties with everyone. He had 4 daughters, not his, but his ex-wife has 4 daughters. They cut off all ties with them. He then meets his second wife. Not 1, but 2. So that's again. Right.
So there's someone else for everyone
there's
as well.
Someone else for everyone. She's a foreign exchange student. They end up getting married. He has a son and a daughter. They moved to New Zealand in 1992 and then settle in Australia in 1997. He earned a respectable living. He spared no expenses for children's education. Just all out, overly supportive. His son would say,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Great guy. Salt in the earth.
he told his family he was an orphan from Chicago. I mean, not completely a lie,
Yeah.
I suppose.
I guess that's true.
I mean, technically, yes.
Yeah.
Self-made orphan,
Yeah.
but orphan nonetheless.
Yeah. Wow.
So ends up
Talk about
dying.
bearing the lead there. It's like, I don't really want to get into too much detail. Just, I'm an orphan.
I'm an
Don't
orphan.
worry
That's
about
all you need to know. From the
It's
Chicago,
too painful to talk about.
from the Chicago area.
Not Nebraska, where all those prison breaks happen.
Yeah, no, not
Not from
there at
there.
all. Not
No.
there. I mean, I'm oddly specific about that, but I just want to make it clear. I'm not from that
Passionate.
area.
Passionate about this. I hate me some Nebraska.
Oh my gosh. So this guy ends up dying August 6, 2010 after battling a clotting condition for several years. I don't know what exactly happened, but
Yeah.
you know,
Sounds like a Batman villain.
yeah, he can't clot and so this other guy comes along and he's an investigator and he's on the case. Now this guy wasn't even born yet before this guy gets already broke out of prison. Trying to grab his first name here. His last name is Britton, and I'll apologize here.
You're talking about the investigator.
The investigator, yeah.
But regardless, there's an investigator.
So yeah, we'll call him Detective Britton is what we'll call him here. His last name is Britton. I can't find his first name here in this article. The guy's not even born yet when this guy escapes prison. So of course this guy's got quite a head start on him. So he goes to this guy's brother, who is still alive at the time, and gets his DNA. And, you know, they couldn't obviously make any matches. Well, his son just happened to update his DNA on 23andMe and ends up getting a match. And so the guy calls him or texts him or, you know, messages him and says, hey, you know, I'm his cousin or whatever. Let's meet. They meet over Zoom. And then he gets to tell him, hey, I'm really not your cousin. I am looking for your father. I'm from the U.S. Marshal's office. Your father was a killer. And that's how this guy finds out over Zoom from a detective that his dad was a killer and had no clue at all, obviously. And it's like, what do you really do? Like, you know, like on one hand, that's your dad. He was a terrific person, a terrific father. He did something horrible at 16 years old, but yet he was a killer.
I mean, I got to think it's going to affect how you look at him, you know, like it just has to, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any way that, you know, but it's true. And we have someone on watching us right now on YouTube on the live stream, and we've been kind of chatting back and forth. And so I'm looking at Tanya here, who was saying that, you know, that's why she won't do 23andMe. And it's completely true, because that's how they caught the Golden State Killer. It's the exact same scenario. And people don't realize that. And I'm not saying that that's, you know, a bad thing. I will say, I know you've done the DNA stuff. I haven't done it. I have zero plans to do it. Yeah. Not that I have also a long plan of committing tons of crime, but I just feel like it's weird because they won't, like, they will share that stuff with governments and stuff. You don't know what's going to happen with it. And that whole area of things right now is very gray. You know, it's just like there's the rules around DNA. I mean, this is such an early stage of what's going to be happening with DNA technology and DNA information and knowledge. Ain't no telling what's going to happen with that over time.
That's it. And, you know, it's like they can get a match, like they could hit on me and they could be looking for my fifth cousin somewhere, right? So they'll come and they manage to get DNA from me and match it to someone I haven't even met before. Like that's happened, or a brother that you never talk to anymore, like this guy, obviously his brother. But you're right, and then I've seen them where they've done that, and then like they follow the guy and wait for him to drop a cigarette butt or something. It's always that.
Yes.
Don't smoke, because
Right.
don't drop your cup.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna run and grab your DNA off of it. So I tell you what, this detective Britton, he was like, obviously this guy committed a heinous, horrible crime, but it's actually changed like how he views rehabilitation. Like this guy lived probably essentially a perfect life. Now he probably had to,
Right.
obviously, because he can't mess up and get caught. But he's like, obviously, you broke out of jail, you can't do that. You can't kill your parents because they won't let you go see the undead. But he kind of changed his mind a little bit on how he views like prisoners and the whole rehabilitation process. So I thought that was kind of kind of interesting. Now apparently, like the kid, his brother, oh my gosh, think about like how he's I would love to know what his life was like. He's got to have such a terrible, he probably had a terrible life. He loses his brother to jail, he loses both his parents. He's 13 at the time. He has to go live with like long distance relatives. Man, crazy story though. I mean,
it really is, man. It's crazy.
Managed to live a whole entire life without getting caught. Like it's just it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, in the 60s you broke out of prison, it was like, I guess if you could get away, they weren't that sophisticated, now, I mean, because nations didn't communicate, police systems and everything else, and investigative systems didn't communicate in the same way. So it was like, if you could get out of the state, you probably had a decent chance. And then just stop committing crimes. That's the problem. Most of the time they didn't stop committing crimes. It was like, well, I robbed 13 banks. Now I'm out. I broke out. What am I going to do? Well, I need to rob a bank. I got to get some money again, so they start to, and I need to leave my calling card behind to make it super cool. Everyone knows who did this diabolical scheme.
Absolutely. Well, crazy story, man. I just, I was like, man, this guy got away with this forever. Raised a family, lived a great life.
Yeah.
And all the while,
I mean, can you imagine though how he must have felt? I mean, at a certain point, I'm sure you can put things out of your mind and enough time goes by, but secretly carrying that guilt around for that period of time that you murdered your parents.
Oh yeah. And,
I mean, that's got to just be insane.
It's funny because they even mentioned that in the article. Like they went back through and found like his Bible verses that he had highlighted. It was all about forgiveness and things like that. So he definitely, it seems like this guy was probably living with it. And I think that's, I think that the kids kind of look back and be like, maybe this is why he was so like, so giving, and like why he was, So I think, they said they found the Bible. There were lots of highlighted lines about sin, guilt, and forgiveness. I think it weighed on his mind for the rest of his life. That was his son saying that. So,
gotta think. I mean,
I mean, you would hope so. Yeah,
kind of sticks with you.
You would hope so. Yeah.
Ugh, crazy. All right, well, let's move on to the next story then. So that was a great one. This one might not quite live up, but I don't know. It also could. It's a different type of crime, different type of scheme and scam, and interesting in its own right. So again, people just be careful. A man rented a home and then impersonated the owner of the home, applied for a mortgage on the house, and then stole the money. And this happened in Toronto. And so they found the guy, they arrested him. So the renter's been arrested, and it's a mortgage fraud scam. So, so in Toronto, the guy's 42 years old. He impersonated the owner of the home he was renting in Toronto. secured a mortgage on the property, and then planned to steal the money. So J. Allen McDougal was arrested on May 25th and charged with 5 counts of fraud over $5,000, as well as laundering proceeds of crime. So he began renting the home in May of 2021 using an online home rental application. While renting the property, police say he somehow obtained the identity information of the homeowner. He then proceeded to impersonate them when applying for a mortgage on the property that he's renting. He went on to collect the proceeds of the mortgage for himself. The fraud value was over $2 million.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so this is a jumbo loan, and but they have apparently recovered a portion of the money. So, yeah, and investigators believe that he may have committed other similar crimes and are trying to get the public to come forward with any other information that they may know about him.
I mean, how does he commit other crimes and like nobody is like, what's the homeowner too embarrassed to be like, yeah, he did this to me. How was he not already in trouble for something like that? That is crazy. Man.
And again, that's one of those things where I would never even think, who has the guts to even try that? Who has the guts? You're renting a house, and then what do you look up your landlord on Facebook, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Let me find out who the bank. Let me call up the bank and find. Yes, this is whoever. Like, I'm him, and I'd like to take out a mortgage, please, on my house.
Please ask no other questions. Yeah, like how easy is it? Yeah,
I know.
I mean, did he grab all? I mean, assuming he had to have a social, had to have his phone. Like, yeah. What kind of stops are in place? Why is it this easy? It's not the first time I've ever heard this. I mean, you hear all the time the people that will. They don't even have to live in the home. They can just somehow get the title or the deed through public records. And then, of course, they're frauding it, but then they can take out, HELOCs on your house, second mortgages, loans, all that stuff. So, yeah, what a mess, man. Well, I'm hoping this guy obviously didn't have to pay any of that back, the homeowner.
Yeah. Well, Tanya, who's on our live stream right now, said that she had the theory of wondering if they got the homeowner's identity through some of these payment apps like Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, because if you can manage to hack into that, you may be able to get a lot of their information. Because at that point, if you can get in, if let's say and I don't know if people do this, but if I paid my rent with, Venmo or PayPal or something, then I know your login, basically your user ID. I just got to be able to figure out your password. If I can crack that password, then I can probably get in and access a lot of information, maybe banking stuff. I don't know. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But I mean, can you imagine that? Like, you're the landlord, you're the homeowner. You rent the house out. You think you have a nice tenant there living in your house. Things are going fine. You have no idea that now the mortgage is being taken out in your name on that house. I can't even imagine.
Awful. That is awful.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So, all right. Jumping into this next story. So we've had some things recently. We've covered this Bud Light controversy a little bit, good bit. People have been very passionate about this, and understandably so. So as we've talked about it, and we've gotten tons and tons of comments. I mean, we have one of our videos has done just about 1 million views at this point, and gotten thousands of comments on this particular topic, in addition to the other things that we talk about. But one of the things that a lot of people have brought up about this Bud Light stuff is they've said before that, like, oh, well, all these companies care about is the ESG score. You need to, check on that and research more about ESG scores and everything, which I wasn't going to do. I mean, we're talking about the story, but I didn't really feel the need to do a ton of, personal research to learn everything about ESG scores and everything.
Right.
But recently, and this is according to the New York Post, an ex-Anheuser-Busch executive has revealed that left-wing investment firms are pressuring companies to, quote, go woke. Okay. So I'll give you kind of the rundown here. Woke governance has sent profits spiraling at companies like Anheuser-Busch and Target, but it often begins with lefty investment firms pressuring them to push products their way, an ex-top Anheuser-Busch executive said. So this all happened on Fox News. A gentleman named Anson Frericks said behind the scenes politicking from firms like New York-based BlackRock and Pennsylvania-based Vanguard spur many of the controversial decisions sparking nationwide boycotts from longtime conservative customers. So we all know about the Bud Light thing with Dylan Mulvaney and everything, but he's saying that BlackRock, Vanguard, and companies like State Street, they manage about $20 trillion in capital, and they use their clout to promote agenda politics being pushed on them by progressive lawmakers overseeing government pension funds that the companies profit from. Okay, so that's a whole lot of words, right? So let's boil it down to a much, much simpler way. So you have these companies, and then you have major investment companies like BlackRock and State Street and all of these. And they will buy up massive amounts of companies' stock for use in their pension funds because they manage pension funds for cities and, you know, massive corporations and all kinds of things. And so those banks are being pressured by lawmakers to want these liberal things happening. And so they are then pressuring companies like Nike and Target and Anheuser-Busch and all of these to start putting out more kind of leftist things in order before they're willing to basically invest in them. And so they're doing that because they look at it and go, okay, yeah, maybe I'm going to lose some business, but the business I'm losing may be nothing in comparison to the business I'm gaining if I'm getting BlackRock to purchase, you know, $8 billion worth of stock. You know, that's going to more than make up for it. Yeah.
I don't know. That seems like
no thoughts?
That seems like a lot there.
It does.
To unravel.
Because it's a lot to unravel. The only thing that I thought was because this is a former Anheuser-Busch executive, it does carry a little bit more weight, I think, than just a random person, you know, with a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Why is he former, I suppose, would be one of the things. But
right.
Something you said, though, there's 3 companies, major companies out there, investment firms, managing $20 trillion in capital. 3.
Yes. Is that insane or what?
Scary insane. Like that is nuts that 3 companies trillion. Like that could control $20 trillion worth of people's money. And at any point,
incredible.
Oh man. We always talk about going down this conspiracy theorist road, but man, it just so. But why are you listening to progressive lawmakers? What like you have? See, I don't know. I don't really get what the point is, unless the point would be because clearly, even people that wouldn't consider themselves, conservative, or even far right, middle right, whatever. Even like there's a lot of those people that are like, yeah, we still don't want this. Like, there's like Twitter things, gays against groomers, right? So they're folks that are gay. Yeah. And there was actually a thing that came out today about that, like where Jordan Peterson, I don't know exactly what Jordan Peterson does. I find him fascinating, but I'm not quite sure
an interesting character.
Exactly who he is or what he does, but I still find him fascinating to listen to. But he went on to say that like 80% of the people that become, trans or have like, this would have ended up being gay. So it's almost like they're trying to push out the gay agenda. So it was an interesting take. I don't necessarily agree with it, but like there's a lot of people that don't want these things to be pushed, and clearly a lot of people don't, because of the way that all these companies are losing this money. So it's just weird. So it's almost like you would want, lawmakers are wanting it to be pushed to make companies go broke. Like, they have to know that this stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what else would be the point? Again, there's a rabbit hole you go down that I'm not sure I'm willing to take. But yeah, it just,
well, one
it
of the
doesn't
things
make
they say
sense.
here, let me give you an example, because this, again, just to be clear, what we're talking about, this isn't all about gay and trans stuff either, right? So just leftist things, so
Sure.
and progressive things. So let me give you an example. One of the firms that we're talking about, State Street, BlackRock, Vanguard, one of those firms manages California's pension fund, the whole state of California. That pension fund is the largest pension fund in the country. So California politicians can have a big say in the corporate governance and politicking of the firms they invest really heavily in. So they actually said that in California, for example, they've recently mandated these large pension funds that they divest from things like fossil fuels and oil and gas. And when Bill de Blasio, the former mayor of New York, was in office, he did the same thing. But then they'll also tell BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, et cetera, that if they're going to manage their money, they have to commit to things like ESG, diversity, equity, inclusion, and adopt firm-wide commitments that they therefore then force onto all major companies in corporate America. So a lot of stuff being said there, but essentially it's not just about gay and trans stuff. It's just in general, what you end up with is California politics being pushed on to corporations by virtue of California politics influencing Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street influencing everything else. And that money, then they, are kind of moving forward with that mission. So it's all super weird stuff, man. It is incredibly strange. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, we on this show, we talk about it all the time. We're not left wing, we're not right wing, we're basically dead down the center. We are of the we're of the common sense party. And when you see things that don't make sense, those are the things that we call out. Those are the things that we talk about. And we're talking about this now. Some of this stuff just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But it can only be because there are people behind the scenes that are pushing it for whatever reasons. Because outside of that, why would any of this happen? Right. So it actually gives credence to some of these conspiracy theories that maybe wouldn't otherwise warrant credence.
Imagine like having to I don't even man. Imagine like in California, like you're now being told if you want to manage these funds, you can invest in oil, you can invest in anything other pretty much than natural gas, thinking that like in next 4 years like the whole entire country is going to be run on nothing but solar and wind. It's just not going to happen. Like all the stuff to even make half of the stuff that you need takes vehicles and takes things that take gas and oils and everything else, right? So it's just like insane. So now you're not going to invest in oil companies and companies like that. So now what, they're going to go, are they going to go broke? And now you're going to have less and few. It's just like you're just trying to squeeze it down just to have these, just a couple of entities running everything. And I guess that's really what the whole idea is to have just no choices in life. You're going to be told exactly what you need to do and what you're going to do and who you're going to buy your gas from and who you're going to buy this from and that from. And it's, man.
Well, and I do think the other aspect of it is, when it comes to things like, we're talking about oil and gas and stuff, they're forcing that agenda because it also does, obviously we get our oil from overseas, from countries that don't like us. And so it ends up being a thing where it's kind of like, hey, it doesn't matter if we're ready for it or not. It doesn't matter if there's a good alternative or not. We're going to force the issue and we're going to not be in the oil business whatsoever because we're going to choke out these oil companies. It doesn't matter that they're American companies. They're getting the oil. Much of it, obviously, we get from overseas. And so, we may have the American refining companies here, but the crude oil comes from overseas and we're not going to buy stuff from there. So it's becoming more and more behind the scenes, I think, this isolationist idea where, we don't want to have any dependency on other countries. But meanwhile, we still want other countries dependent on us. So I think that's going to be where, believe me, there's a whole long conversation could be had about that for sure.
Yeah.
But we won't have it tonight.
No. I don't think I have the capacity to have that conversation tonight.
Yeah, but I did think it was interesting, at least that a former Bud Light executive is coming out and saying that their hand is being forced by these huge banks, Vanguard, State Street, and particularly BlackRock. Obviously, no one's bigger than BlackRock, and that that's why all of these bizarre business decisions are being made by these companies that are swinging way left. Their hands are kind of being forced. So, kind of an interesting idea.
Just amazing. You let 3 entities control. That has to be 90% of people's funds. It's got to be, right? I mean, it's
20 trillion.
20 trillion. That can't be 5%. Like that
Right.
has to be a number larger than 70% of all the people's money. Oh, that's scary, man. I don't know. Like that doesn't sit well with me, but
it's not a good situation.
No. Invest in Bitcoin.
No, because here's the thing, right? I'll give you a quick little stat talking about this. Because we've been, you've been hearing about the debt ceiling in the news recently, Republicans and Democrats trying to come together. The total federal debt is expected to exceed 50 trillion in a decade. So it's not even to 50 trillion yet. And we're talking about these 3 companies alone managing 20 trillion. So they're managing, we'll say roughly half of the entire U.S. debt is being managed by 3 companies.
Yeah.
So, it's scary stuff, man.
It should scare a lot of people, I would think. I mean, it's probably been that way forever. And, you're just more and more now kind of realizing this stuff as you get older and you're like, my money, I need to make my money last and I got to invest.
Yeah.
Well, you're investing in one of 3 essential companies, at this point.
That's right.
So, good luck.
So you
everyone. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on here. Let's, you know what? I'm going to switch the order here because I think we can jump into quick hits. Do you think we're ready for some quick hits here?
Yeah, let's get into it.
We'll lighten the mood. We've been heavy on some deep subjects tonight. So let's move into something sweeping the nation. Quick hits. I'm going to start off with something light before we get into anything that's a little darker. There is a McDonald's McFlurry sandwich hack that they say is taking over the internet. I don't know what it means to take over the internet, but they say it is. Because I can tell you, I've been on the internet lots of times since then. I haven't run into this story. This isn't a thing where I'm just like, God, it doesn't matter what site I go to. I keep seeing this McFlurry stuff
happening.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a bizarre idea. So I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you to explain. So this McDonald's McFlurry hack. So you've probably heard of the Wendy's hack, which I don't even think this is a hack, which is involving dipping your fries into a Frosty, right? That's not a hack to me. I don't know why they say it's
hacking.
Yeah, exactly. There's no hack there. You're just sticking.
Hack?
Yeah, it's like, that hack about putting ice cubes in your drink. So yeah, there's no hack. It's just, but anyway, so TikTok may have just come up with a McDonald's hack that is starting to freak people out, and people are really getting into this. McDonald's customers have been creating ice cream sandwiches using McFlurry ice cream between 2 hash browns. Taking a bottom hash brown, scooping McFlurry on it, putting a top hash brown on it, and eating it as an ice cream sandwich. This is like a huge thing. Are you interested in doing that?
No, that's disgusting.
Sounds horrible, doesn't it?
What? Do you know how much a hash brown costs these days?
Oh, I have no clue. I couldn't even take it. It is $1.
$2.49 for a hash brown.
What?
At least in my area. Yeah, I was
Good Lord,
shocked.
$2.49 for one hash brown
For
from McDonald's.
one hash brown. You know, I can go to my local grocery store and buy a whole entire pack of frozen hash browns for probably $2.
Yeah, I was just saying probably the same price.
Yeah.
Wow.
$2.49 for some potatoes that are put
Fry them up.
fried together. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I don't. But a McFlurry has stuff in it, right? I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a McFlurry. I'm just not an ice cream guy, I guess. But like normally, like aren't there like I don't know M&Ms in it or Reese cups or something? And
I think there can be. Again, I know nothing about it. I don't think I've ever.
Because otherwise, it's just ice cream, right? I mean, I don't.
Right.
Isn't that what makes it?
But I think that's what that's the long and short of it is. I think that's really what they're doing. Like they're scooping it out. But I mean, it doesn't matter if there was nothing in it. They're just putting ice cream between hash browns and eating it. And
this is sweeping the nation, apparently, or the world. I mean, I don't.
Here's what I know. This one TikTok, and I don't even know if this is like the first or only one or whatever, but this one alone has like 10,000 comments alone and like coming up on 1 million likes. And, and there are more than one of these, and it is disgusting. The idea makes no sense to me. Who's putting ice cream between hash browns? I don't understand it.
So what's the? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, what's the? I kind of get the sweet and salty, but like,
right?
I don't like a French fry is super skinny. Like this is a whole like you're making an ice cream sandwich out of hash browns. Yes. I'm watching the video actually right now. I'm watching. Yeah. It looks absolutely disgusting.
Yes,
and I guarantee that was a $9 meal she just made there. She does a $9 ice cream.
Yeah, you're working backwards. This isn't the best way to do this.
Well, I don't. Yes. What do you like about it? I don't. God,
two hash browns with McFlurry in between them sounds like the worst type of ice cream. If you call it an ice cream sandwich, I get whatever. You could just call it anything you want. It sounds terrible. Why not put like just ice cream between a Big Mac bun, and eat that? Yeah. I mean, you can put ice cream on anything.
Oh, here's a comment. I dip my chicken nuggets in the Oreo McFlurry. You should try it. Why?
No.
I mean, are they?
No.
This is so terrible.
Yeah.
And there's like multiple, like there's, it is there. I mean, there are so many videos on this. I guess if you've seen one, you have to see 5 of these. They're all the same. Right. They're spreading ice cream onto 2 hash browns.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
No thanks.
I'll pass.
No. Not interested in that. Sounds disgusting, but people keep finding things to do. And that's certainly one of them.
Here's a comment. I'm 58 years old. I've been dipping my fries into milkshakes since I've been about 12. Why did you start at 12?
Yeah. Proud American. I've been doing it since I was 12.
I'm 58. I started when I was 12. Like not 10, not 9, not.
My parents wouldn't let me do it till I was a teenager. But I went the day before my 13th birthday. I was still
when
12.
I was of age. When I was of age.
Stayed up all night. Went out to a 24-hour McDonald's at 12:01 a.m. and I got my McFlurry and my freaking hash browns.
Here's a comment. It's $2.50 for each hash brown. There we go. Plus another $7 for the McFlurry. Now I have no idea if McFlurries cost that much, but
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me. Oh, that is awful. I mean, that's disgusting. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know. No offense to any of our listeners out there who do that. It's gross.
No offense, but you're disgusting.
You are disgusting.
Tanya on our live stream says that she likes to put Wendy's fries in a Frosty.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm assuming you're just dipping them and eating them.
Yeah,
For me, I have zero interest in that. I know lots of people do it. I just couldn't. I just would not want to do
that. An Oreo McFlurry is $4.39. I don't know if
it's
there's
$2.50
a large
you're
size.
saying for plus $2.50 for each.
For
so
one.
$5. $5 in hash browns, $4.50 in McFlurry costs. So plus tax.
Plus
so you're
tax.
spending $10 plus to be able to get this.
Easy. 10 easy. Yeah. Don't get the strawberry shortcake McFlurry. It's $4.69. So Lord.
Cut corners where you can. So we're saying then this is one of the most expensive ice cream sandwiches you'll ever have. This is a $10 or $11 ice cream sandwich.
Listen, this is Nancy Pelosi ice cream sandwich territory.
Getting the best of the best.
That's it. That's it.
Man. Yeah.
Wow.
Thought that was a super weird story that I just would not ever want to put ice cream between hash browns. And then also, isn't it going to melt incredibly fast because you're putting it on warm hash browns? You have to wait till they're cold?
I guess. And then you want a cold hash brown. Right. Oh, like all the grease settles in there. Oh, man. My 7-year-old would eat McDonald's cheeseburgers every single day. And I'm telling you, I find him repulsive when he eats it. I love him to death. I like every time he's like, "Can we get McDonald's?" I'm like, "You are disgusting, sir." I there are times where we'll get it, because it's quick. And I'm telling you, sure. I was on a trip. I ate like a chicken sandwich, and we were going. I think it was to my wife's sister's. That 15-minute car ride, I ate the chicken sandwich. By the time I got to her house 15 minutes later, I was like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, I feel disgusting. And it's not like at that point I was in the greatest shape of my life. It's not like, oh, fast food. No, I can eat fast food. It was so gross. Oh, it's just disgusting. Oh, God.
Well,
no offense to anyone out there.
On it.
No offense to anyone out there that loves McDonald's.
Yeah, if you don't like your chicken sandwich, just stick a McFlurry on it.
Just stick a McFlurry on it. Yeah. Why not? I'll maybe get one of their hot apple pies and put in between there as well.
There you see, that would be better. Apple
why
pies
wouldn't you do that?
McFlurry in between it. That would be the thing to do. Why are you doing hash browns?
Dude, we're TikToking after this.
TikTok. Catch us on TikTok after the show tonight.
I mean, that would make perfect sense. Hot. Problem is, you never know if they're going to be hot or not when they hand them to you.
Right.
Who knows?
But I don't know that the hash browns are definitely going to be hot either. So
sure, that would make 100 times more sense.
Yes.
Apple pie, ice cream sandwich. It's like that makes sense. That's
a win for everyone.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
I am not getting behind a hash browns and a McFlurry.
No, not interested. Not interested.
You can keep it.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's move to the next story then. And before we do, always have to let everyone know, quick hits. We're going to stay in the food lane here for a moment.
I like it.
A Sonic employee. Well, you want to stop there or start there?
I don't know. Let's go.
A Sonic employee was arrested in New Mexico after cocaine was found in a customer's hot dog. Jeffrey David Salazar, 54, faces a felony charge for possession of a controlled substance. So here's the breakdown. An employee at a Sonic drive-in restaurant in New Mexico was arrested after he lost his bag of cocaine and it somehow ended up on a customer's hot dog. Police said illegal narcotics were discovered in a customer's recent Coney purchase. So we'll be careful if you're ordering from Sonic to get that Coney. Make sure you poke around a little bit first.
Yeah, is that the that's the secret word when you're that's the secret hack menu?
Yeah. I need the Coney, please. Wink, wink.
And then when you get pulled over, you're like, what? They must have dropped it in my hot dog.
apparently, so the dude Salazar, he's working in the back in the kitchen at Sonic. And apparently, why you would have inadvertently placed a baggie of cocaine in the food, I don't know. But here's the thing, right? So the woman calls the police because she bit into her food to discover that she had bitten into a plastic bag, and she she doesn't believe that any of the powdered substance went into her mouth. She thought she had bit into just like plastic, and she pulls out. It turns out it's a baggie of cocaine in her Sonic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been awful. Like, what if I was for a little kid or something? Good God.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I'm not up on the drug scene here. But what's a baggie of cocaine cost? I'm assuming more than a Coney hot dog, that you would probably want to make sure that it's somewhere safe.
Yeah, I'm guessing it wasn't a prank. Like you had to like have accidentally.
Gotcha.
Why? How were you just? How were you so reckless with your cocaine too? You're just there in the kitchen, just like twirling it around or something. Just where'd it go? Anybody see that cocaine? No. All right, well, give this lady her hot dog.
Oh,
Yeah. So the affidavit for the arrest warrant says the Salazar was observed on video surveillance conducting what appeared to be a hand-to-hand transaction with a female employee. Salazar then makes her food before appearing to frantically search the area as if he lost something. Salazar admitted to police that he purchased the cocaine from someone in the restaurant's parking lot, according to the arrest warrant. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So Sonic is really experimenting with new ways to generate customer loyalty. You go to Sonic one time, you order that Coney, you're going to want to be back there again and again and again.
You are going to be addicted.
Sonic knows how to bring you back.
Coney hot dogs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dang. I mean, it's funny, but how terrible could that have been? Like if I would have gotten to like a little child or something.
So scary.
Or even even a woman, but I don't know. I don't know what cocaine would do to you. I mean, I've never done cocaine, but
bite into it.
Yeah, just bite into it and swallow it. Jeez.
Ugh. Super weird, man.
Oh, that's awful. And then what are you gonna say? Like I don't. And then I guess they probably. I'm sure he didn't come out and admit it. It's not like he called the police and be like, lost my cocaine." Right. So I'm assuming they probably must have went through the video and started looking through it, and then saw this dude like frantically looking around. What's he going to say? Be like, "Oh, I dropped my contact." Like, I don't know. Like, right. So I guess at that point, they probably went to him and be like, "All right, what'd you do?" And then I guess that's probably why he admitted it. Right. I mean, I don't. Jeez.
Well, I mean, they have him on videotape, so it's also kind of like, bro, we watched you. We have observed you losing the cocaine.
Look, man,
in the Sonic kitchen.
Why would I buy cocaine to then put it in a hot dog? That makes no sense.
Doesn't even sound like me.
No.
It does not sound like something I would do. You know what I always do with my cocaine? I snort it. Now, there was that one time I put it on my hot dog and I snorted it off a hot dog, but I've never sold that hot dog to anyone.
No.
That was my snorting hot dog.
That was my snort dog.
Yeah.
All right. So sue. I mean,
it's a great question. I mean, who's the person that you should be, that should get in trouble? Is it Sonic that she should sue? She sues this guy. I can't imagine that he's going to get anything.
No, he works at Sonic and buys cocaine with his Sonic money. I don't think that's his like. Well, my wife said I had to get a second job to support my cocaine habit. Like, I'm sure he's not like a Wall Street tycoon who just
exactly just real responsible, high income earner.
Like, you know what? I'm not gonna spend my family money on cocaine. I'm gonna get a job at Sonic and just blow all that on cocaine. So
never get high on your own supply.
That's right. I'm assuming she's going to be able to sue Sonic for hiring the guy, letting the guy go out in the parking lot, and they're going to offer her free Sonic for life, free Coney dogs for life.
Yeah, can't order the Coney again though. That's the only rule we have. Free Sonic for life. Can't order a Coney, no matter how much you like it. Yeah, well, so I also just So Tanya on our live stream said that she heard a person in Georgia mailed meth to someone with a return address on it.
Just in case it gets lost.
Just return to sender. If you're not sure that you want it, just give it back. I'll take it.
Send it back. Hey, we know how the mail is these days. They
so unpredictable.
Always losing stuff. I mean, jeez.
Yeah. So crazy, man. Well, all right. So now we're talking, since we're talking about these crimes, let's talk about the flip side of that and talk about punishment. I saw this article the other day, thought it was worth talking about. These are 5 common medieval crimes and their punishments.
Oh.
And they didn't mess around in medieval times. For anyone who doesn't know, crime and punishment in the Middle Ages, very harsh and unforgiving. They didn't play around. They just kind of invented.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. They just kind of invented a horrible, torturous thing to do to you if you were found guilty. So I have a few of these. I thought they were pretty fascinating things. So the first one is called the 3 ordeals.
Okay.
So trials by jury didn't become common until the 13th century. So without a formal way of determining someone's guilt or innocence, the accused were subject to trial by ordeal. There were 3 types of ordeals: ordeal by fire, ordeal by water, and ordeal by combat. The goal of these ordeals was to subject the accused to extreme circumstances. And if they were able to survive, then they were seen as innocent in the eyes of God.
Well, there you go.
Well, ironically, I think you may have gone through ordeal by fire earlier tonight. You burned your hand. We were talking about this when the show started. Ordeal by fire required the accused to carry a red hot iron 9 feet and then have their hands bandaged. After 3 days, they were required to show up in court and show their hands. If the wounds had started to heal, they were considered innocent. If their condition hadn't improved, they'd be found guilty. That's it. So a red hot poker, a red hot iron, carried in your hands, 9 feet, put it down, bandage your hands, come back in 3 days. If your hands are healing up, you're innocent.
I don't know. I guess how do we determine healing up after 3 days? I guess not oozing with pus and everything else, I suppose.
Yeah. Or they're still on your arms. Your hands haven't fallen off or anything.
I guess I'm guilty. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
awful.
Then there were 2 different types of ordeal by water.
Oh, not just one.
If they were subjected to a cold water ordeal, their hands and feet were tied and they were thrown into the water. If they began to float, they were considered innocent. If they sank, they were guilty.
Pulling them back up out of the water. Well, he's guilty.
That's it. Like, well, dude's guilty. Clearly, you saw him sink like a stone.
Clearly. Oh.
But the hot water ordeal is also pretty brutally bad. I don't know which one you want. If you want cold water or hot water. Cold water ordeal, they're going to tie you up, throw you in the water. If you float, you're innocent. Hot water ordeal, those accused had to retrieve a stone from the bottom of a kettle of boiling water. Similarly to ordeal by fire, if their hands had begun to heal after 3 days, they were found innocent. So the thing is this. At least if I get thrown into the cold water, all I have to do is float. And then otherwise, I'm fine. There's no pain. But if it's hot water, I have to reach down into a boiling cauldron to find a hot rock. And then it's like my hands and arms are burning off. But if I've started healing in 3 days, then I'm innocent. I think I'd take the cold water.
Yeah, give me the cold water. I guess these are seasonal punishments.
That's right.
Commit your crimes in the winter, I suppose.
Yeah, they weren't chilling the water. So this is definitely, yeah, if you want that cold water, you wait till the winter months before you do anything. Jeez. And then lastly, ordeal by combat was used to help 2 parties solve a dispute. This was mostly used when there were no witnesses or confessions to a crime. 2 individuals would fight in combat, and the winner would be declared innocent. While brutal, these ordeals were used to justify God's will in the criminal justice system. If the accused could survive or be found innocent after their ordeals, it was believed that they had been given a power by God. So, there you go.
Makes sense.
That's how it works. Yeah. So it really is that easy to figure out if someone is guilty or innocent. Everyone makes it seem like it's so hard, but in the criminal justice system, you can determine this easily. So
we don't need weeks and weeks and months of trials. No, just give them a hot iron and tell them to come back in 3 days.
That's right. I don't know who chose 3 days either. Yeah, that's the magic time, but
they were really stuck on that 3-day thing too. Like, I wonder if they had it, 4 days at one point and realized, oh wait, everyone starts to heal after 4 days. All these people can't be innocent.
Yeah, we can't have this many innocent people. Well, I have some of the common crimes from back then and their punishments. Pretty terrible. So in medieval times, petty theft. So stealing was one of the most common crimes committed during the Middle Ages. Sure, petty theft relates explicitly to the...
Yeah.
Exactly. It's pretty much a lawless wasteland. You could take anything you wanted in the Middle Ages. So petty theft would obviously be the theft of low-value goods from an individual or business. Depending on the severity of the theft, the consequences could range from public humiliation all the way up to bodily mutilation, which that's a big range. I feel like that's too big of a range, maybe.
That escalated quickly.
They say that the most common punishment for those found guilty of stealing was extra work or fines. Seems pretty fair. According to the thievery code in the Book of Dalarna, the fine could range from 3 to 40 marks. While inconvenient, being fined was not nearly as embarrassing or dishonorable as the more serious punishments. Those guilty of full thievery could be hanged or suffer a more painful fate like bodily dismemberment.
Oh, just hang me.
Wasn't uncommon for a thief's hands or ears to be cut off, signaling to everyone that they were a criminal.
Oh.
Yeah. So crime did not pay in the Middle Ages.
Sure didn't.
Arson. So, of course, if you're deliberately setting a fire, that could definitely cause problems in medieval times. Even small fires could easily spread across multiple houses since most things were made of wood and straw. So it's an entire community built around being flammable.
Sure.
Arson was considered quite serious. So arson was subject to capital punishment. Capital punishments are equivalent to the death penalty and result in the individual being executed, usually by hanging. This was considered the most serious of punishments, as it often impacted the ruling class's property or land. So basically, it was like arson was the one thing they didn't mess with. You weren't going to be doing any arson. You were just going to die if that happened. They didn't play around.
Nope. If it affects the ruling class, they do not play. There you go. Right. Some things never change, do they?
That's right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Treason. Pretty simple. Everyone knows what treason is. Those found guilty of treason face the most serious punishment, no matter the severity of the crime. In 1351, the punishment for treason became enshrined in the legal code. This punishment involved a gruesome death. The culprit was often hung from a tree, but cut down before their death. Once down from the tree, an executioner would behead them, dismember their body, and ship body parts to other areas. The body parts would be displayed and serve as a warning against those considering a similar crime.
Wow. This is Braveheart all over again, isn't it? This is exactly where they got this from. Imagine that. So talking bad about the crown, this is what it got you. It doesn't seem that far off.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's like, oh, they're going to hang you. And then they give you the hope because they cut you down. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was close, guys. I almost died. And like, no, it's cool. We got it. And they're going to cut your head off, dismember you, chop you up, and then ship your body parts to different areas for display.
So everyone can see. Don't talk bad because we don't want an uprising.
That's right.
This is how you control. Like, this is how you control the many. Because it's not like the ruling classes could ever control all those people. No. You just had to make examples.
So many of them, they could have overthrown them anytime they wanted to.
Exactly. But you keep them in fear, and yeah.
All it takes. Yeah. Then you have murder, of course. So with murder, it was just death. But women found guilty of murder faced a more brutal death than just meeting the executioner. So if a woman was found to have murdered someone in the Middle Ages, the medieval times, if a woman was found to have murdered someone, they would be hung or strangled and then burnt.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, they didn't mess around. Yeah, so you don't want to be I mean, obviously in the Middle Ages or medieval ages, like being a woman wasn't great anyway. But if you were a woman in medieval times, even murder you were punished worse for murder. That wasn't good enough just to kill you. They were going to also burn your body. And then stealing crops. Stealing crops was viewed as a more serious offense. And so those found guilty of stealing crops from someone's land often had their hand removed, preventing them from stealing anymore and making them a public spectacle to others. So, of course, talking about it again, crops were often stolen from high-ranking lords who owned land, ensuring the ruling elite had control over the punishment of the low, poorer class.
There it is. People aren't stealing crops to like go out and resell them because they're rich.
Right. They're hungry. Yeah, on our live stream, someone just said that we should do a show on weird or crazy laws.
I feel like it's
and it's not a bad idea because there's plenty of them. There are a lot of weird and crazy laws out there.
Yeah. I feel like this has been an awful show today. Not in terms of our stuff, but this is a lot of just terrible
dark stuff.
We went dark.
Well, here's a little something that'll lighten the mood a bit. I saw this article. Well, let's move back here. Sorry, I keep doing this. Gotta let everyone know it's quick hits. One of the most irritating things that happens at these big resorts when people go on vacation is that everybody takes all the chairs around the pool or on the beach, right? First thing in the morning, they're out there putting their towels down. They may not show up for hours, but they're going to hold the chairs.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yes. And so, and these huge resorts, I mean, people will get up at 6 a.m. and they'll be carrying 10 towels down and then just put them all down and then show up after breakfast, everything, 10:30, 11 o'clock to use the pool. No one can do anything, right?
Yep.
Well, recently, a resort guest decided to do something about it. And I mean, people are not afraid to take things into their own hands here. This person went down and removed all of the towels from every single beach chair. So this was put out by a person who observed this. They said they were on holiday in an all-inclusive resort. The first day, they couldn't find any lounge chairs by the beach or by the ocean. And they okay, fair enough. They didn't get there until the afternoon, so they knew. Next day, they went to find a spot, but most of the spots were taken by towels. So they find an empty seat, and they look around, and they realize that most of the chairs stayed reserved almost the whole day and never even get used. Third day, they decided to take some towels off of 2 loungers and enjoy our day. 4 hours later, an older couple shows up saying they had their towels there, and they went to management and got them kicked off and everything. So this person got pissed off by this. So every day after that, for the rest of their trip, they'd get up in the morning and they'd take the towels off of every single chair that didn't have a person in it. And then they would go up to their balcony and watch the chaos. Everyone's freaking out because they don't have their saved chairs and everything. So then by the end of the week, there was a sign that any unattended towels would be removed. So literally the resort actually changed the way they managed this. At the end of the week, they're like, screw it. If they're not there, we're removing it.
Oh, that is so funny. God, that would just pay for the trip in itself. Like, that'd just be worth the trip.
Right.
Sounds. Imagine all these people coming down. Like, what?
Yeah, these are my seats. Yeah. Well, it's great too because I looked and I don't know if you had a chance to see these, but I had sent over some videos that about this exact thing on TikTok, and I had no idea it was like this. Some of these pools at these resorts open at like 6 a.m. and there will be a line of people like it's Black Friday at Walmart. And then they open the gate and people are like sprinting to the chairs they want and like throwing towels at them, trying to like hold these chairs. And then they just leave. It's like they're not there. It's 6 a.m. You're not, very few people are just wanting to sit at the pool or be at the ocean at 6 a.m. They're just, they race in there as fast as they can. They're throwing towels on these chairs and then they go back and they just hold them for the whole day.
Oh, what an awful trip that would it be if that's what you have to do. If I got to wake up at 6 a.m. just to I'm just not going to go.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m. just to put my towel down, then to come back 3-4 hours later.
No, it's not worth it.
No.
And they had this resort in Spain. They had this resort in Spain. People lined up at 6:30 a.m. This was 90 minutes before the pool even opened.
Oh my gosh.
In order to be the first in line to reserve chairs. And I'm telling you, when you watch this, they open that and these people, I'm not exaggerating, are sprinting in here as fast as they can with towels all like piled up. They're running around, pushing people out of the way, trying desperately to get these. When I travel, I don't go to these big, resorts. I either go to very small places or just, Airbnb. For this exact reason, I don't want to be around a lot of people. And I definitely don't want to be around a lot of people that are acting nuts and to try to hold chairs and make sure you can't sit anywhere. I mean, it's just so weird.
I mean, imagine that being your vacation. Like you spend all year saving up to go to a resort where you have to wake up at 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning just to get in line. That's not even to sit there for that many hours. Like if I'm getting up at 6:30 in the morning, like I'm just going to stay there. I'm not going back.
No, exactly. I'm not going to be able to go back to bed and go to sleep. So I'm up at this point.
Yeah. And now like your towel somehow claims your spot. Like who made that rule? Who decided like, well, there's a towel there.
Yeah. Can't do anything about it.
I don't know. The law of the towel speaks. I can't do nothing about it. Well, yeah. I'm not gonna stay at a place like that if that's what I've got to do. I don't exactly. If I go on vacation, I don't want to be around 10,000 people. I mean, I'm sure when I go to the beach, I'm around 10,000 people, but my area that I'm at, there's not 10,000 people around me. I can just walk right out to the beach and put my lawn chair down. Now we do get out there early. We'll go and set up early when we go to the beach, just to get everything set up. But we're not going out there at like 6 in the morning and then coming out at like noon. Like we'll go up, set out, and then come back, eat breakfast, and run back out. And we're out there within the hour. Yeah, but there's not that many people scrambling for places. That's that's all. That's hilarious that you would just get like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna go and take all the beach towels.
Yeah, I'll take every one of them, and then I'm just gonna go up and sit on my balcony and hang out and watch everyone freak out and scream at each other.
Yeah, I wonder what he did with the beach towels.
I know. Just like, a lot of times they have those like where you put the dirty towels that look like almost like a giant trash. You might just tossed it right into that and kept walking.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Pretty good. Good way to do it. All right. So moving on, quick hits. This one we might need to stretch our legs on a little bit. We might end up talking about this one for a little longer than we normally do with quick hits, but a Utah district has now banned the Bible in elementary and middle schools due to vulgarity and violence. A parent in the school district launched the petition to remove the Bible over its sexual content and violence. So this is at Davis School District. It's north of Salt Lake City. And they've basically pulled the Bible, and students can't have any exposure to it until they get to high school. And they removed it because they've received a petition from a parent because of sex and violence. They wanted it to be gotten rid of. Now, this is not the first situation like this. Utah schools previously began removing other books from libraries after a 2022 state law required schools to consider parents' input on age-appropriate books. Now it's going to get really interesting because the next book up for evaluation is the Book of Mormon.
Oh, boy. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, can't wait to see that vote. Can't wait to see that vote in Salt Lake City. Yeah, so apparently, and what's weird is this. I think this kind of backfired on this parent because I think it was kind of meant sarcastically. This idea of the petition, because this parent was like wrote this letter, and they were complaining about this stuff, and they said they had this new law being put in place. Parents had filed over 250 complaints petitioning for certain books to be removed from schools. And so they had sent in this petition saying, Utah Parents United, which I guess is the name of this group, left off one of the most sex-ridden books around, the Bible. You'll no doubt find the Bible has, quote, no serious value for minors because it's pornographic by our new definition. Well, that made them have to review it. And then since they had said they would review it and they found violence and sex in the Bible, they said, fair enough, you're right. Even if you meant it sarcastically, we will pull the Bible.
See, oh my gosh. I guess Utah is just a little bit different because, like, what?
Sure
like,
are.
What Bible? I guess they don't agree to the separation of church and state. I guess I've never seen a Bible in my school when I was growing up.
Agreed.
There was never
Agreed.
a Bible.
I don't understand
that
aspect of
I don't understand why it was even there to begin with. I mean, I maybe just because it's Utah, I suppose. Maybe they just didn't have that, and now, all right, well, yeah, you want to be funny, and you want to,
yeah, we'll teach you.
Yeah, wow. I want to see what they do with the Book of Mormon. Oh my goodness, that would be wild.
Yeah.
That's a story to follow up on. But yeah, it's weird.
100%.
I never knew a Bible to be like in the school library somewhere. So
I know it is weird. So the only thing that I know more than this is that so this parent was hoping to expose the bad faith process of all of this. So again, it was kind of done sarcastically, but it just kind of backfired. It's the Davis School District. The Davis School District is Utah's second biggest public school system, has nearly 74,000 pre-K to 12th grade students, and had largely removed the Bible from circulation anyway, but they kept it in high school libraries. The parents said that their effort to boot the Bible was in protest of a 2022 Utah law that made it easier to remove pornographic or indecent content from schools. And the legislation was supported by conservative activist groups, including Utah Parents United. And so, that's exactly what they did. I mean, in this little letter, they said, I thank the Utah legislature and Utah Parents United for making this bad faith process so much easier and way more efficient, the parents said in the complaint. Now we can all ban books, and you don't even need to read them or be accurate about it. Heck, you don't even need to see the book. And then, of course, they bring up the Bible and write a bunch of stuff about it. And so this committee then is just like, okay, yep. We can't have any problems. We can't have anyone complaining. We can't have anyone upset with us at all. Let's go ahead and remove the Bible now. So
it's just mind numbing. I think all parents really just want is like not showing your 10-year-old how to perform sexual acts on another
Right.
child or another 10-year-old, right? I mean, I think that's like, there's no common sense here. Either way, there's never common sense. So we want to ban a book. Everyone wants to ban, what was what was his name? Abraham Kendi, or the book he wrote. I don't know. It was a whole big thing on it. Not white fragility. I don't know. He wrote one of the books, and everyone wanted to get that banned, and then there was, then everyone's now trying to get the other books banned. Kids are just like, wait, what? Can we just make like, what is
I'm
happening?
trying to go to
here,
school.
like,
just
yeah,
go to school.
Can I just learn? Am I able to just learn about? I don't need to be taught all this extra stuff. This just makes no sense. Ugh. There's just no common sense in any of this. They want to ban one book, so now the other side wants to ban another book, and then it just
that's it.
I mean, the kids can't even read Dr. Seuss anymore. Like literally can't read Dr. Seuss. There are some books that they're not allowed to read anymore. It's just yeah, it's like, how are you supposed to know anything about the world? How are you supposed to make your own choices and your own decisions? And
right,
yeah, awful.
Yeah, just it is. Awful. It's so weird, man, and just I don't know. We've talked about it before, but so much of this stuff nowadays is not about actual offense. It's truly
no.
It's about the potential for offense. Everyone thinks that their job now is to be the police for anyone else maybe getting their feelings hurt about something. So it's like, oh, well, I don't agree with the way Asian people were represented in that movie. I'm not Asian at all, but I'm really upset by it because they might be upset by it. Okay, but they've never said a word about it, but you're now making a big thing about it. It's like everyone, it's all, of course, obviously virtue signaling and everything. Everyone thinks that like they look good by doing this. In reality, you don't. You look nuts. Like you don't need to get offended for anyone else. And you've said this on previous episodes that like, that's the thing. Don't get offended for anyone else. It's not worth it.
No.
But everyone now thinks that's their job, is like to look for offense anywhere that it can be found and root it out. And, it's like, come on, man, it's not communism. This isn't McCarthy era, politics or something where we got to search out for offense and root it out of society. Offense is fine. You can get offended. Yeah. It's okay to get your feelings hurt. It's okay to be offended by something and then not use it.
Right. That's exactly it. You can make your own choice. And then being offended for someone else means that they're not smart enough to be offended.
That's right. You see it, they don't see it.
Yeah, no, you're not smart enough. Well, let me tell you, it's offensive.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
This is offensive to you.
Yeah. Like, wait, what? No.
Well, think about it. I mean, it would be like saying, you know what, from now on, all food needs to taste good. There can't be any bad tasting food out there because that's a terrible experience to have bad tasting food. Well, who determines what food tastes good and what food tastes bad? Right? It's up to the individual. And likewise, offense is up to the individual. You can't get rid of potentially offensive things any more than you can get rid of the idea of potentially bad tasting food. Because everything that someone thinks tastes bad, someone else loves.
Yep.
And then how do you determine who's right and who's wrong? So now, guess what? All of you that think that place tastes bad that other people like, now you're going to have to tell them how they're wrong and you're right and you're saving them from themselves and you're trying to protect them. It's just like, guys, man, you got to get off of this train. It's not going to work for you.
No, but this is politics. This is life. Like you've just explained life in a nutshell right now. You've probably dumbed it down to the simplest terms.
Right.
Let's get rid of bad tasting food, and no one can tell you who determines or what determines bad tasting food.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, if it's out there and it could be potentially not taste good for you, you should never have to experience that.
No.
But how do you know what good tasting food is then?
Right.
Like there's no baseline for anything. And that's the thing. It's like, we all, you and I and many others have had experiences of all different kinds. And Some of them you love and you say, man, I can't wait to do that again. That was so much fun. We had an awesome time. That was a fantastic trip. I can't wait to go back to that place or go back to that restaurant or have that drink again or whatever. And likewise, we all have those funny stories about the disastrous things or the things that they were, that didn't turn out. But they're not horrible stories that make us break down in tears because we stayed at a bad hotel or we drank too much that one night or you went to that party that you shouldn't have or you got no sleep or whatever the case may be. It's like that's part of life. This idea that we're going to somehow legislate all of this stuff out of life so that no one ever has to experience discomfort is just the weirdest, worst idea that you could possibly have.
Just, yeah. Now, the only thing I would say to that is if I could ban taking the bus in Las Vegas, I would ban that.
That really needs to be banned. No one should have to be subjected to that.
No, not at all. But no, you're exactly right. You can never experience anything good in life if you've never experienced anything bad in life. Now I know what I don't want in a female, a male. Now I know what I don't want in a job. If I'm just told always like this is what you need, this is what you want, and I guess that's kind of the point of where they want you to be in life. And I say they, meaning people in power, they want you to rely on them for what you need, what you want. Right. This tastes good. You need to have this. This is offensive. You shouldn't watch this. I mean, that's just what they want. You don't want free thinkers. You don't want like, well, you can't be a Republican and agree with anything that a Democrat says. Well, that's stupid. Like that you're an idiot. I don't want to associate with you. And the same as a Democrat. Like, well, if you agree with anything a Republican says, well, clearly you're not a Democrat. Well, you're dumb. I'm sorry. You're an idiot. I don't have time for you. You don't represent me.
No, and we talked about it before about even, on our content, the people, particularly around some of the Bud Light stuff and Target and some of these boycott things, where these what I think we'll call liberal, more left-wing people seeing a clip of our show and then leaving comments about how we're ignorant, right-wing, Trump supporting, blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. You are the exact thing that you think you're better than. You don't know anything about us. You have no idea what our show's about. You have no idea what our politics are. We're not even a particularly political show. We've said this many times, but you don't know any of that. So what you're doing is you're basing on what? Appearance and some weird generalizations that you would make on that, saying you're white, you have beards, 100%. You have bald heads, so you're rednecks, you're this or that. Like, you don't know anything about us at all. And then you want to say that we're the problem when you're doing the exact same thing that you literally came to our content to judge people for. That's why you left the comment, was to be judgmental. You think you're superior to that, and you're actually the person who's doing it. You're the problem. And it's hilarious to me. I was talking with my wife about this over the weekend. How, like, it's so funny to me that left-wing people and right-wing people have so much more in common than they think they do. It's crazy.
Oh, so much.
They're the same. They're the exact same. They just need to get over that idea that they're so different, because they're not. They are the same. And that's going to bother both sides. I know people are going to be outraged to hear us say that, but it's completely true. Neither side acquits themselves very well because they both make, these wild, crazy things. Right-wing people say left-wing people are doing the devil's work and they're, trying to erode society and blah, blah, blah. And then the left-wing people say, right-wing people, you're all a bunch of drunk hillbillies and this and that, and you're so stupid, you're doing it wrong, and
Nazis.
Just because it's so stupid.
Yeah. No. Again, there are many people who don't want people to realize how much more they have in common, so they put this divide in there on purpose to keep this narration going, and yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
so much
So
more in
funny.
common than they want
And
to
everybody thinks
agree
they're
with.
unique and they're clever and they're different and they're superior.
You're the exact same person.
And they're not. They're what they are is they're weak and they're shallow and they're insecure and they're scared, and like that's really what they are on both sides. So like if you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Yup, that's exactly right. He hit the nail on the head. That's just how those right-wing Trump supporters are." Nope. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about them, and we're also talking about you. You yourself, whoever's listening to this, if you thought I was talking about someone else just now, I was talking about you. That's exactly who I'm talking to. And because even that mentality to think, "Oh yeah, he's talking about them." Where would you get that from? I didn't say anything to give you that indication, right? So that's just how people are, man. And it's such a weird society and a weird time that we live in, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse.
It is. Yeah, and I guess it's just something that's just been slowly integrated into as Bud Light likes to say, the fabric of America, the fabric of our culture. It just slowly has devolved to this because it was never really like that. Like like I would watch TV and I wouldn't know that CBS was
Right.
lean Democrat, or I wouldn't watch Fox News or Fox, and think like, oh, they're right. Like it just slowly has devolved into this, and I mean, look, there's money in being on one side or the other. I mean, there's not a whole lot of money for people that
Yeah,
are
it's true.
right down the middle like us. So
Yeah.
maybe we got to pick a side. I don't know. Maybe we got to put a
That's
poll
right.
up. Which side do you want us to go to? Because we
Yeah, everything has to
we
be on
want
the
to make money.
extremes.
So, but I mean, really, there's not like who like who is that person that's in the middle
Yeah.
that it, talk show wise or political wise, commentator wise, who there's not like there can't be anyone in the middle. Maybe
We
that's
bridge the
us.
gap.
Maybe we're coming up with a whole new genre of we're the bridge gappers. But I mean, there's not, because there's just not any, like, nobody wants to hear, like, everybody wants to hear something that favors their side. And they can't wait to just hear it and just jump into it without context. I see these videos online and there's zero context behind them. You just see certain
Right.
random people beating up certain random people. And, and it's like, okay, well, what led to that? Like, what is there nothing else? This is all we're seeing. And it's like,
Yep.
here it is. See, I told you. No,
Yeah.
what? Where's the rest of
No,
this?
you're right, man. Everything now is about extremes. Has to be extreme one way or another. And honestly, it all started with social media. I mean, we've talked about it before, so I don't want to, like retread everything. But the moment that you started letting people think that their opinions mattered, it became a problem, because your opinion doesn't matter and it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, no, it should matter when it can be put into action. Like, for instance, in election, you have an opinion on who you want to vote for. Okay. The next election, vote for the person you want to vote for, right? That's when that matters. That's when your opinion can be put into action. If a business, Target, Anheuser-Busch, any of these, Nike, whoever else, is doing things that you don't agree with and you choose to boycott, that's because your opinion is that they shouldn't do that. You don't support that. Great. You've taken action, as you should, and you've chosen to not consume products from that brand. And that makes total sense. It also doesn't mean that everyone else is the devil who doesn't feel the way you feel, though.
Perfectly fine.
Like, it has to stop at a certain point.
Exactly. That's the thing. Exactly. If I drink a Bud Light, that does not mean that I am the worst person in America. But that's you're right, at least for now, until someone decides they're going to take that away. But that's your absolute right to do what you do. But it can work on both sides. Oh, you don't want to bake a birthday cake for a gay couple, or a wedding cake for a gay couple. Well, I'm not going to shop at your business. That's your right. Like, it's 100% your right to do that. I will probably go buy, if I need a cake and they're really good, I'm probably gonna go buy the
Yeah.
cake. I don't care, right? I mean, there's just a lot of things we just shouldn't or don't need to care about. But again,
Yeah, have at
you
it.
want to boycott it, 100%,
Yeah.
man. That's
Yeah.
America, man. That's America. Whether you love America or hate America, that's America. You get to have that right to boycott it. The same as
Right.
people have the right to support that business. Again, that doesn't make them bigots and phobes of this or that. They support the business. They don't agree with what you're saying, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
and that's goes both ways. You don't want people don't want Target to sell clothes to kids that probably too young to understand even what they're
Yeah.
wearing. That's your right. You can do that. But again, if people go in there and they want to buy that stuff, then
The market's going to sort it out, right? Like
let
if
them.
more people have a problem with it than are
Yeah,
in favor of it, then it will stop. And look, I mean,
100%.
we
There
talked a
you go.
little bit about Target last week,
There
but the
you go.
most recent thing here, and I'm sure there may be even more recent things, but here as of a few days ago, Target stock has now lost almost $14 billion in the last couple of weeks. That's the lowest level the stock has been at since 2020. And it's all over boycotts. And so in 2 weeks' time, they lost nearly $14 billion at Target. Now, yeah.
Down another 2%
And so this is the
today.
thing, right?
I mean,
So that tells you
that's crazy.
that the majority of people right now are opposed to the decisions the Target is making. If they weren't, then you wouldn't see a $14 billion drop in business in 2 weeks. But the majority of people are opposed to it. If the majority of people were in favor of it, everything would stay the same, or their stock would increase, their sales would increase. But the reality is they're taking a beating because people are opposed to it. It's the same thing that happened with Anheuser-Busch. They're taking a beating because people are opposed to it. The way to gauge your demographic, your core customer, is not when you've already done it and then you wipe out billions of dollars and you have to lay people off. That is not the time to take the temperature on whether or not this new marketing idea is going to fly or not. And unfortunately, these businesses are doing it because they feel empowered. Now, maybe they feel empowered because of the story we just talked about as it pertains to BlackRock and, the ESG scores, Vanguard, everybody else.
BlackRock.
But whether it's because of BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, etc., whether it's because of them or not, Target, Anheuser-Busch, and these other companies have been emboldened to take these marketing risks. And likewise, you could say maybe it hasn't worked out for them. They're taking a bath right now on the stock. But the flip side is even people who are opposed to the things that they have done still have potential to profit on these situations. You could short those companies and make a killing. You could buy into the stock really low. And then when they inevitably eventually, Target's not going to go out of business over this, right? They're going to bounce back. Some other outrage will happen in another month or two and people forget all about this. And they'll probably handle it better than Anheuser-Busch has anyway, because they will have learned from the corporate stupidity at Anheuser-Busch what to do maybe a little bit better to get it behind them faster. But the fact is, when you end up in this situation, even if you're opposed to it, you can also still profit from it. Are you wrong for profiting from it? Are you wrong for saying, man, I hate what Target's doing. I totally disagree with Anheuser-Busch. And you know what? I'm going to buy their stock. Is that wrong? Is it wrong to profit in that situation? Right? I mean, there's a lot of gray area in this world, and that's every shade of gray in there. Because you could say you don't like it, but you'd also invest in the company.
Oh, definitely.
Now you'd invest in the company hoping what? That it's going to fail? No, you're going to hope that it's going to succeed after you've bought that stock. You're hoping you bought it low. You don't buy it and then hope it continues to go down. You think, I hope now things turn around and get better for them.
Right.
So really by shorting them, you're actually rooting for them.
Yeah.
Don't you have that right? Of course you do.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. This is what I don't understand, though. I'm looking at an article here about what they sold, right? And this is what's got people so upset. So they have, of course, their LBGTQ pride for years. Sorry, the season offered merchandise that included female style swimsuits that
Yes.
have the option to tuck male genitalia. It's just, how uncomfortable that's got to be. Other products were labeled as thoughtfully fit on multiple body types and gender expressions. Here, they don't go into detail, but I need to ask you what this is. Target also sold a gender fluid mug.
It's just a beige mug. Is that
what is that?
Does it have half a handle?
I don't
Doesn't
know.
have a full handle or something?
I don't know. What is a gender fluid?
You can drink out of both sides. Just a tube.
One side has a straw, the other doesn't.
You just have to delicately balance liquid inside of it. It's open on both sides.
Didn't sell well. Didn't sell well.
Wow.
Apparently. Gender fluid mug. Yeah. Yeah. And this is, it's just, it's just wild to me. But they're selling adult clothing with slogans such as super queer. I don't understand why you would ever need to wear a shirt that declares that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I should get one that says super straight.
Wrong,
and just here's the thing: if I walked around wearing a shirt that says super straight, everyone would think I was gay.
But you couldn't.
Like, you would just assume, like, what's that guy compensating for? He's clearly.
Yeah. Like, oh man, he is.
Also, by the way, a gender fluid mug is apparently just a mug. I looked it up. Weirdly enough, it is just a regular mug. It literally just says gender fluid on the mug. That's it. Yeah.
Huh. So is it okay. So it's like the mug that has like the levels of your coffee, like don't talk to me.
Can you see my screen right now? I am sharing this.
Oh, it's getting ready to pop up.
Just says gender fluid.
Nope. It
Nothing more
just
to
says gender fluid on it. Okay.
Yeah. And they have a bunch of those. Whole bunch of different gender fluid mugs.
$12. Oh, here's one that's $28.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, great business to get into right now is the gender fluid mug business. These things seem to sell for quite a bit of money. I mean, it's $15-$20 to get a gender fluid mug.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll start an Etsy page here and get myself one of those Cricut things and start making mugs.
Crazy. Gender fluid mug.
Gender fluid mug. Yeah, that's wild. You know, the thing I love too is when you make like a bad movie or a bad TV show and it just gets killed, then you can just come out and claim that like it
was too progressive.
Like, it's all like the homophobes. It's it's due to all the Nazis and everything else, like, or if you don't watch it, then you're racist. Like now they come out with that, like the
oh yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes,
or something. It just completely historically.
Cleopatra.
Inaccurate.
You might be talking about the Cleopatra one too on Netflix.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
No,
yes.
it was the one.
I think it is the Woman King. It was like a Black Panther type idea with the woman in there.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be based on a true story of like the tribe of women who like took over, and I don't know. It's just all historically inaccurate, but that was just pretty much like, well, if you don't watch it, then you don't support it. And what was the Billy Eichner?
Oh yes, something like that. Yes,
Romance, was that like his movie? And it was like, and it was just like, oh well, everyone's just homophobic, didn't come see it. And someone made the point like, well, if there are literally that many people that are gay in this country, had they gone and watched it, like the opening night or opening weekend would have made
you'd be like the Avengers,
$80 million.
If you had just been able to get your own people, your own core demographic,
exactly
if you could have gotten them to see it. And I promise you, if the movie looked good, they probably would have gone to see it.
But you look at the preview and you're like now you're just trying. Like you're just like it looks so contrived and
funny.
And I like Billy Eichner. I find him actually amusing.
Some great
when
stuff,
he was doing
man.
Billy on the street stuff. Like you just throw the microphone up in people's face.
Yeah.
So it was like made me laugh, and but I saw this movie and I was like, bro, this just looks dumb. Like this just looks like this doesn't do anything for me. But again, if it was a regular romantic comedy, I'm not going to go see it either. So like I'm not your demographic. If it's anything romantically comical, outside of
sure, great movie,
Notting Hill.
Movie. I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her.
Boy. We'll cut that one up, boy. People are really going to have opinions about us. He said, whoops-a-daisy. Did you say whoops-a-daisy?
Yeah.
There's so many great lines in that movie, man.
All right, man. Well, look, I'm looking at the time. I feel like we've entertained the world enough. And I want to say this too. Now, we got one more little thing I want to talk about, unless you have anything additional you wanted to touch on.
No, I mean, we didn't talk a single lick of sports here tonight. And a lot of that is on purpose. There wasn't a whole lot going on. But I just want to give a shout out to the 2,000 fans that show up for the Oakland A's games.
Yes.
Because, boy, you are diehard. This team has played roughly 61 games. Yeah, about 61 games. They're currently 27 and a half games back, have a 197 win percentage. Their run differential is minus 200.
Are they running the bases backwards?
I mean, they have been outscored in 61 games by 212
runs in 61 games.
I mean,
wow.
Games, they've been outscored. They have a team ERA of almost 7. I mean, this is like I do not understand how Major League Baseball is letting this go on. I mean, this is all just a ploy to get out of Oakland and get into Las Vegas. What a sham. What just a stain on baseball. And kudos to those 1,962 people that show up to watch a game, because no offense to the players. I mean, you're Major League Baseball, you're on a Major League Baseball team, but boy, this is
that's embarrassing.
Travesty.
And now, I mean, we're seeing this more and more, unfortunately, in sports, and we're not going to have time to go into all of this tonight. And we shouldn't have gone so long on some of these other things, because we did actually talk about this topic, and we knew we wanted to try to fit it in somewhere. We won't have enough time to do it justice, but more and more in sports, you're seeing this idea that team's going to bomb so bad that then no one will care if they leave town. And then when they leave town, then they get to go to some other great deal. And then when they get to go to that great deal, then it's kind of like, magically they can start to turn things around. And I mean, we've seen, the Raiders obviously move to Vegas, and now they're one of the top grossing teams in the NFL. They're not even a good team, but they have a beautiful new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. $2 billion gets spent on that. And man, the renderings have come out for this new Oakland A's ballpark in Vegas, right off of the strip, right by I think it's by the Tropicana there on the strip. I mean, good Lord. I mean, the Vegas Strip is just becoming like the sports central thing as well. I mean, you got all the crazy hotels. Now you got football stadiums and baseball stadiums and everything right there on the strip. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, it's amazing the what they can what they can do with the renderings. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I really don't. But yeah, I mean, so you can't even put together a team, and then you are you're getting ready to build $1 billion stadium in Las Vegas. Oh, just embarrassment, man. Like, they should be forced to sell that team right away. This has got to be on an historic pace for losses. I can't imagine this isn't going to end up just being
I mean, I don't understand. And like, I'm looking now because I had a really good, let's look at this. So, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna, let me know if you can see my screen here, because I mean, the images that have come out so far for the new Oakland A's stadium, this thing is backing to the MGM Grand. I mean, it's incredible.
Look at that.
And then it's I think there's another, let me see here. Yeah, look at this. Right off the strip, there's the MGM Grand. Right on the strip, there's the Luxor, Mandalay Bay, and I mean, there's the stadium. It's unbelievable that they could build this.
Yeah, I don't understand how they can even. Yeah, I don't.
It's a great question, because it feels like there has to be something there.
We'd have to look at that.
What would have been?
And that looks like
oh my Lord,
stadium too.
Oh, that has to be a dome.
Could you imagine that?
That has to be a dome.
I mean, I would think so, but the renderings all show it as an open air, unless it has the ability to close. But I mean, that air is. I guess the air would be pretty thin, I suppose. I don't know. That ball's might.
They're saying $1.5 billion, 30,000 seats. Oh, and it's actually where the Tropicana is now. So we've actually stayed at the Tropicana. So I guess they'd be buying up the Tropicana's place and building this on the Tropicana site. So there'd be 9 acres of land. It's planned. Okay, so the stadium would be on 9 acres of land of the 35-acre Tropicana site. Yeah.
So not even all of it.
And that makes sense, because I thought the Trop was like right around here. And I guess they're getting rid of the Tropicana. Because it's sure not there. Yeah. Interesting. Anyway. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Do you think you ready to do that? I think we can do that. All right. All right. So that's it for us tonight, folks. We have done everything we can possibly do to entertain our global audience. We appreciate you. We thank you for listening. We will be back soon, better than ever. In the meantime, have a great night. We'll talk soon, everybody. Thank you.